Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed session. We're going to be talking about affordable housing. These are my affordable housing secrets. They're going to get you to the next level, even if you know nothing about the affordable housing space, which only about 30 to 40% of people are tapped into affordable housing. So let's dive into this thing. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment that says I subscribe. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to my free real estate training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. Give me a quick second here. I just want to tap into one thing here. I want to start off with a little bit of mindset as well for us, because mindset is so important. Hopefully you guys aren't hearing an echo. I'm getting a little bit of an echo on my end, but hopefully you guys aren't hearing that. Let's start off with a little bit of mindset. So I'm at the gym today, and this is really good mindset. I'm at the gym, and there's a guy there, and he's lifting, right? And I'm lifting as well. We're pretty much doing these park workouts. You guys know I do calisthenics. So I'm doing push-ups. I'm doing my whole routine. And I've been doing this for probably 5+ years. So I have a pretty extensive routine. And I started looking over, and this guy's like doing my routine. Like it's obvious. Like he's following everything I'm doing. So I'm doing push-ups on the parallel bars. He starts doing his push-ups on the parallel bars. He's doing the same pull-up routine I'm doing. He's doing the same ab work I'm doing. And he's just copying me, right? And it's kind of funny when this happens. This has happened to me a few times, but I'm thinking this is brilliant, right? He's copying me, and it just brought me to like real estate. The best way to get ahead is to copy. He's looking at something, about me, something that he wants. He's like, hey, that guy, he's stronger here. He's doing more push-ups than me here. And he's seeing the routine. He's saying, well, if I want to get those results, I better do this routine, right? That's intelligence. You have to apply that same intelligence to your life, even if it's not real estate. Even if you want to be an architect, an engineer, you want to be an attorney, you need whatever you want to do in life. Don't just look at the money people make. Look at their lifestyle. Look at everything about it that comes with it. And if that's something that you want, if they have financial freedom and you want it, look at what they do. Look at their habits and then copy those habits. Mimic those habits. If you do that, you're going to be successful. You're going to get to the next level if you copy what they do. If you want real estate results, find somebody who's doing exactly what you want to do in real estate and copy those results. Copy that technique, copy that strategy. A lot of the strategies that I do, I would say almost all of them, I haven't created anything, guys. I've copied all of this stuff. All of this stuff works. I've seen it work with other people, so I copied it. And then I teach it to you guys. I teach a lot of these strategies because I've implemented them. I've had success. I've done hundreds of deals. I'm teaching you things that I saw work, that I copied. I might have made small tweaks to them, but then I'm showing you for you to copy and be the next person. So that is the way to get ahead, no matter what you're doing. And if you're not at that point in your life where you're ready to copy results, where you're ready to get ahead, it's usually for these 3 reasons. These are the 3 things that will hold you back from just having that point of clarity where you say, this person is doing something that is getting a result that I want. I'm going to copy it. Here's the 3 things that will hold you back. One is fear of making a mistake. This is what's holding you guys back. And I talk to hundreds of you guys every week. Fear of making a mistake. You're afraid of losing money. You're afraid to do a deal because you think you're going to make a costly mistake and lose money. You're afraid that you're going to get burned by a GC. Some of you are afraid of mentorship because you can't appropriately value mentorship because you haven't been burned yet. You haven't done any deals. So you don't know how risky the school of hard knocks is. Therefore, you're in a position where you're like, well, I'm afraid of mentorship because if I don't spend on the cost of mentorship, well, then I can't lose. I can't make a mistake, right? If I don't try. So you just sit on the sideline and you wait it out and you'll make a bazillion excuses. Like I've heard every excuse. The timing's right. I'm not right. I'm waiting out the market. Some of you know this is like your dream. This is what you want to do. But then there's the, oh, well, I got to talk to my fiance. I got to talk to my wife. Well, what's your wife going to say? Or the question is, what are you going to do if your wife comes to you and says, well, I know this is your dream, but I don't believe in you. Are you going to stop? Are you going to not go after your dream? You have to ask yourself these questions. You have to take it there for yourself. Well, what if my fiance doesn't believe in me? Am I just going to stay complacent and not go after it? Or am I going to push myself and really challenge myself? So there's always that fear of making a mistake. Number one thing that holds you guys back. Second thing, lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge. You don't understand the cost of construction. You don't understand full gut renovation. You don't know how to do any of these things yet. You lack knowledge of real estate. It's another reason why you need mentorship to overcome it. But lacking knowledge keeps you stuck in number 3, which is paralysis through analysis. A lot of you, because you don't know how to run deal analytics, you don't know what a valuable deal is from a non-valuable deal. You lack the knowledge of how to invest out of town in better markets. You're suffering from these issues. These are the core 3 issues: fear of making a mistake, lack of knowledge, paralysis through analysis. So you're trying to analyze deals, analyze mentorship programs. What's the best? Am I making a mistake? What's going on? You're not necessarily trusting your vision, the clarity to say, this is a result that I want. This person is more knowledgeable than me. If I copy them, I can become a more knowledgeable, confident, less fearful, and less paralyzed version of myself. And then I can go higher and higher and higher and get to that goal. So if you're suffering from these 3 things, I mean, there's a clear way out. It's just to get the knowledge, tap into your fear, face the fear, and just get out of paralysis. Stop listening to your excuses or the belief systems that tell you need more cash. You need perfect credit to get started. The market's got to be perfect. Everything's got to be perfect. Nothing will ever be perfect until you get perfect. And perfection is that vision. It's that clear vision that all I got to do is copy my way to the top. That's the only clarity you need. So I wanted to start off with that mindset for you guys if you're suffering with those things. And I know you guys are, because I talk to you guys, hundreds of people a week, if not a month. And, I keep hearing the same things over and over. It bothers me after a while because I'm like, man, I wish I could help more people to get over some of these hurdles so that you guys can go out and just get the results and start copying your way to success. But everybody has their own path and their own time. But let's talk about affordable housing. And guys, if you're getting value already, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribe. We're up to, I think, 9,980 subscribers. We're going to cross over 10,000 subscribers probably tomorrow. But I want you guys to be a part of it. If you're here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed yet, I'll send you instant access to my free real estate training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. And you'll be a part of the platform going over 10,000 subs, which, the next step is 100,000. So we're just going to keep pushing this thing. But let's talk affordable housing. So the first thing we need to talk about is why must you learn about the affordable housing space? So only 30 to 40% of landlords even offer affordable housing within their portfolio. The reason why is because there's a lot of fear and doubt around it. It's some of the same things: lack of knowledge, fear that going into affordable housing is going to lead to some type of a costly mistake. And then they're just paralyzed by that fear and they just don't do it. There's a lot of negative stigma around affordable housing. But what you have to keep in mind about affordable housing is during times of a recession, during downturns, affordable housing, getting into this space where you can get essentially rent payments directly from the government, or we're going to talk about some of the development subsidies out there. There's actually, when I say free money, I'm going to show you guys the money, because a lot of people are like, yeah, Brian says there's free money to do real estate. There's really free grant money to build houses. I'm going to show you. Make sure you stick around. A lot of you will jump in and jump out. You're going to want to stick around, I promise you, till around the end of this, when I bring out one of these guidelines that is going to show you the money, literally millions of dollars to develop properties for affordable housing people who are below the median income, below 100% of the median income in some of these areas. If you get into this game, I mean, geez, you can make a lot of money. But there's a lot of negative stigma around affordable housing. You must learn about this space because it is the easiest way to make your first $1 million in real estate. It is essentially a bulletproof way because it's predictable. You are going to pretty much know exactly what rent you're going to get on any rental property that you acquire. So you can go out and do your research for those who are like super analytical, paralyzed through the analysis, don't want to make a mistake, all these things we're talking about, and are just afraid or lack knowledge. I can lay out for you step by step in like a math problem. 1 + 1 = 2. If you buy this property, if you go with this government voucher program, you have this many bedrooms, or we add a bedroom or do some type of value add, you are going to get this rent within this ballpark of rent. You are going to produce this cash flow. And if you do this 10 times, you're going to have enough residual income to break free from the 9 to 5, period. Like, there's no variation. There's no question. There are right ways to do this and wrong ways to do this, but we're going to talk about that. And of course, I've done this over 100 times. I'm dealing with, affordable housing, low income housing, tenants, voucher programs, a variety of different ones. And we'll talk about some of the stuff that's out there. But if you do this correctly, you can do it. If you can do it once, you can do it 100 times. And if you do it 100 times, you're going to be cash flowing like $50,000 a month or something crazy. And just on your way, man, just living full time off of real estate, which should be the goal for us if we're stuck in a 9 to 5 in some job that we don't like, working for a boss that we don't, like less than even the job. You have to start to learn about some of this stuff. Guys, drop your questions in the chat section as we're going through this. I will stop to answer questions, even off-topic questions at times, if I think people will get some value for it. Share this with somebody who you think will get value as well. Do not be stingy with the knowledge. I'm not. So, don't you get stingy with the knowledge. So let's dive into this. So here's a question that I get, and we're talking about Section 8. Let me set the table a little bit. Section 8 is it's probably the biggest and most known low income housing voucher program in America. The waiting list in terms of demand, I got a question today from a guy, a New Yorker. He said, what's the demand like for Section 8 in Philly? I said, the waiting list is like 27,000 people. That's pent up demand, right? So only 30 to 40% of landlords even offer this, which means if you get into this and you master it and do some of the things we talk about today, you are going to have way more people begging to move into your property than you will ever have available. So you will not have an issue finding people that are Section 8 that want to move in. It's just going to be a matter of setting up the right systems to manage it. And, I'll talk more about kind of that property management stuff in another session, but let's dive in. So a question that I get from the analytical people is, how does Section 8 determine like the voucher amount? Well, there's 4 steps to it. One is there's the fair market rent. So the fair market rent is determined by HUD. This is like the national kind of housing committee. I am going to talk about that, Roland. How do you qualify for Section 8? But the fair market rent is basically an average of all of the rents in the market. So it's literally what it sounds like. They'll take the highest rents in the market, the lowest rents in the market, average them out, grab some type of median, and then that's going to be the fair market rent based off of a 2-bedroom size, which we'll get into. And then they'll add for each bedroom you add on top of that, that rent will kind of go up. So then there's a payment standard as well. This is what your local public housing authority, your PHA, they will modify the fair market rent, and they're going to now pay you somewhere between 90 to 110% of the fair market value rent. This is a major key. I'll talk about it multiple times, but what this will allow you to do as a affordable housing landlord, one of the secrets, the affordable housing secrets, is you can now play an arbitration game where you can find properties that are in a C-class pocket or a C-plus neighborhood, like I like to buy in, right on the outskirts of the A-class. And you can pull the fair market rents from the A-class into that property. So you can create a rent spread that would not necessarily exist if you did regular market housing within that zip code or within that pocket, within that C-plus class pocket. So this 90 to 110% payment standard is allowing you to do extreme arbitrage. And if you learn how to take advantage of this, we're going to get into kind of more of the arbitrage that you can do. I mean, you can make a ridiculous amount of money, and this money is getting paid to you by the government, a large portion of it. There is a tenant portion, Let me scroll up a little bit. There is a tenant portion. The tenant pays a percentage of their income or a minimum that's set by the public housing authority. And there are allowances for utilities that they may issue to tenants, or they can pay it directly to you. This can allow you more room for arbitrage. I'll talk about that. But outside of the tenant portion, the tenants are typically paying, and I'll reiterate some of this stuff. They're typically paying somewhere between 0% of the tenant portion to 30% of their income towards that rent. So what I've seen most of the time is, if the rent, we'll just use round numbers, is like $1,000 a month, usually the tenant is paying somewhere between $100 to $200 of that, and the government is paying the rest. So you could be in a situation where the government is paying such a large portion. Like, I've had a majority of properties where the government was paying 100%, somewhere between 90 to 100% of the rent. So they're paying all of the rent. So a lot of our fear is, if we get into this affordable housing space, there's low income people. What if they don't pay? Well, what if they don't have to pay at all? What if the government's paying 100%? What position does that put you in? What if we're in a recession and the market goes bad? Well, the first thing they do is start issuing stimulus money and funding these types of programs. So as these programs get funded, they get more money than everybody else. So as the high-end landlords, they're renting to everybody who's working for Facebook and Google and Amazon and all these companies, they start downsizing first in a recession. They're like, oh, we got to fix our bottom line. Our investors aren't going to be happy. They start cutting 25, 30% of the workforce. Guess whose tenants that is? That's the high-end landlord's tenants. So now the guy who was, working, doing coding for Facebook, making $1.80, he's not making any money now. I mean, he probably gets a nice little send-off package, maybe 6 months send-off package to find a new job. But still, those rents can get hurt. The government voucher programs get strengthened. They get more stimulus money. They get refunded. And this means money's going to keep flowing to you, even in a recession. So this is the safest way. A lot of what you guys will learn about me is I'm extremely conservative by nature. I am what you would call aggressively conservative. So I try to find conservative investment strategies and then become extremely aggressive in my pursuit of them. This is by far the most conservative way to invest in real estate as a landlord, is to tackle Section 8. Let me tap into a few questions, because I don't want them to pile up crazy, and then we'll keep going through this. There's a lot more to this. And like I said, you're going to want to stick around to the end, because I'm going to show you guys the free money that is out there. And there's millions and millions of dollars out there for developers, people who want to build affordable housing. And it's crazy. It's something that we'll touch on briefly tonight, but I may do a whole nother, we may need to spend way more time on it. Question from Roland: how do you qualify Section 8 like a regular rental? Can you talk about what the house needs to qualify? So your house doesn't, here's what your house needs to qualify, and here's what you need to do in some areas to qualify. So any house, and almost any house and any landlord can qualify for Section 8. I would say arguably any house and any landlord. That's how it's designed, right? They don't want Section 8 to be something that most landlords can't offer, because I just told you 30 to 40% of landlords are the only ones offering this. That means the majority of people, 60 to 70% of landlords, will refuse to do Section 8 or affordable housing because of the stigmas. They don't have knowledge of it, and they just are like, no, I don't want to touch it, because they don't understand it. And they're not necessarily wrong if they don't understand it, but if they understood it, they wouldn't necessarily feel that way in most cases. Here's what you need. You need your house to pass a Section 8 inspection. So the Section 8 office in your municipality, like Philly has a Section 8 office, Baltimore has its own Section 8 office. If you go to a certain township, they may have their own Section 8 office for the township. So they will have an inspection process typically. Some are so unsophisticated or underfunded that they don't even have an inspection process. All you have to do is raise your hand and say, I'll take Section 8 tenants. And they're like, okay, grab anybody with a voucher and slap them in. Like they don't have a process. But in most of the major cities, there's a process. If you go into Houston, there's going to be a extreme process where they are going to have an in-house inspector that they send out to the property. They're going to inspect the property to make sure it's up to HUD housing standards. So they want to make sure it's scraping paint. There's no chipping paint. So no, lead-based paint that kids can eat those chips and get sick. They want to make sure that your railings and your guide rails are appropriately there. There's no tripping hazards. Everything is functionable within the property. Everything's working, and there are no major issues. The utilities are cut on. Everything is clean, tidy. They want to make sure that this is a good, livable product because, when you're this, I don't know how much of a secret this is, but to some degree, it's a secret if you've never heard of it before. When you're dealing with low income housing tenants, they have a lot of free services. One of the free services is free attorneys. They get free legal support. So you have to have your game tight. You want to make sure your property is livable. Even Section 8, they want to make sure the property is well inspected and up to codes because you don't want to get into a situation where somebody has free attorneys and they're like, yo, there's freaking mold growing all in the basement. The inspector missed it. And now my kid is sick. Like you don't want to be in those positions. So they come out, they inspect the property, you pass the inspection. Once you pass the inspection, you are now qualified to take on a voucher from a voucher holder. And then there are people out there who've qualified with Section 8. They're holding these vouchers, and the vouchers will have a bedroom number essentially on it. So it'll say 2-bed, 3-bed, 4-bed. So you could be a 2-bed voucher holder, 3-bed voucher holder. That voucher size is based on how many children you have typically. So if you're a single mother with 3 kids, you're probably going to have a 3-bed voucher. If you have 4 kids, you either get a 4 or a 5. If you have 2 kids, they'll probably give you a 2-bed and just say, well, stack the kids in one bed and you get the other. But that's how the breakdown is going to go. So now that your property is ready and you pass the inspection, there is one other thing you may have to do. I've seen some places do it and others not. What you may have to do is sit in like a class for maybe half a day. Sometimes I think they move most of them online now for the Section 8 departments that are more modernized, like Philly is super modern now. But you will just kind of sit on an online course for a day and you'll become like a certified landlord, essentially. And that's just them saying, they've explained their process. You kind of understand the rules around Section 8. I can get into some of the fine print rules, and I'll talk about them as we go through this. But there's essentially not much of a process, or not a high level process. Some places don't have either of these. They don't have an inspection and they don't have any class you have to sit in. Some of them have both. Some of them have one or the other. So it just depends on where you're at. But any property and any landlord can sit in that class and get their property inspected and then start taking on voucher holders. So there's nothing huge there. Isabel said, great topic, Brian. I'm just starting in group homes, all different types. This is so helpful. Yeah, group homes is another one. A lot of this will apply to the group homes in terms of the inspections, the housing standards, having the free support for the attorneys. When you're in the group homes, you're typically dealing with some type of special need. So a lot of this will apply. Ace Deuce, how do you get to choose the Section 8 tenants? You choose them. You do underwriting. And that's a question that I get is like, how do you underwrite these tenants? Because it's a different style of underwriting. I mean, everybody in the affordable housing space is essentially like broke and will have a lot of bad credit. So you're truly underwriting for eviction history and then kind of personality. Is this person going to mesh well with you? How do they communicate? Are they easy to get along with? How do they live? I'll inspect the current property they live in, see if it's like a train wreck or if they take care of the place that they're in currently. So, there's a lot of wrinkles to it. Like one of the secrets is if you have a really nice house, the thing you want to do, this is kind of a insider's tip, because some people will get into the affordable housing space and think, well, I'm going to just kind of put out a crap product. Like, affordable housing, I don't need to go hard on my product. Well, if you want to get the best tenants, you should build a product that you would live in. If you like hardwood floors or, laminate floors, laminate vinyl plank and AC and granite countertops or quartz tops and nice appliances, stainless steel, build your product like that. because there's something called an emergency transfer voucher. So you will have tenants that will be just scanning like the Go Section 8 website or whatever the affordable housing website is, and to see what new properties are hitting the market that they have a bedroom voucher size for. And if they see your product and it's really nice, the best tenants will try to jump out of some type of slum house and move into yours. Like they want to live in a nicer product. So creating the best product is going to allow you to cherry pick the best tenants. So now you will have kind of your pick, because everybody's going to want to get into your product, because a lot of the landlords are of that mindset that the way to make money is to put less into the property. So having that best product protects you in many ways and allows you to kind of choose the best tenants. But you're truly just showing the property. You'll have voucher holders. You don't have to accept the first person that shows up with a voucher typically. I mean, you're going to go through your underwriting process and show the property for 2 weeks and pick the person that you think is the best and passes, the screens. But I break down some of the heavier underwriting, in the 100 Keys Masterclass in my course content. We'll break that down. It's something, if anybody's interested in, working with me one-on-one to kind of get an operation up, you just have to reach out, tap into the mentorship program, and you can do this in any location in the country. Wherever you want to do it, you can do, Section 8. So we'll just get you tapped in. And literally, once you do this one time, I mean, you can do it hundreds of times. Randolph, hopefully this never happens, but say a tenant becomes a shut-in, reclusive hoarder. If they destroy the property, does the government pay for the restoration? Are they timely and reliable about it? No, this is something you want to screen for before they come in. You also want to run your quarterly inspections. You can certainly get them violated. Like if they're not taking care of the property, you could have, them written up essentially. And here's the thing with Section 8. This is a secret to a degree. If you get kicked out of Section 8, like I told you, there's like 27,000 people trying to get on the Section 8 program in Philly alone. So nationally, I don't know, that number could be over 1 million people just kind of waiting. If you get kicked out of Section 8, if you get evicted out of a property, if you violate some of the rules or just become like an annoyance and they just kick you off the program, which I've seen happen, they kick you all the way out. Like if you get an eviction out of one of these units, you get thrown out of the program. So it's devastating, right? It's more devastating if you think about it than a regular market tenant, a regular person who's just renting a property. If they get an eviction, they just get an eviction, right? If you get evicted when you're on Section 8, you get thrown out of the Section 8 program. That's a lot more devastating. So you lose your free rent rights or your government support. So what I've typically found is if you set the right tone when somebody's moving in, if you do your quarterly inspections, even if you have a property manager, you need to manage the manager and make sure you have the right systems in place, or you're getting the right visibility to protect yourself, which is another thing that I teach in the 100 Keys Masterclass. It's how to do that and how to manage your property management company and make sure you're choosing the right company. But if you're doing those right things, you're going to catch this stuff before it becomes a problem. You'll have them out of your property, before it becomes a problem. I've never run into that situation, but I do everything by the book. I do it the way I teach in the 100 Keys Masterclass and in the mentorship program. So like I said, there's a right way to do these things and there's a wrong way. If you do it the wrong way, you're going to pay. And, doing things the wrong way and paying is something that, funnily enough, I bring up on a lot of the calls I do with some of you guys. People will call me about the mentorship program. And I try to explain to them, like, listen, if I tell you the cost of working with me one-on-one, you can look at it, right? You can't hit what you can't see. So if I tell you the price of working with me one-on-one, you can see it. Now you can hit it and say, either that's a great price, which is what most people are like, yeah, let's go. Or you can say, I don't want to pay that. Now, when you make a mistake in a school of hard knocks, if you go out and do this wrong, you can't tell the game, hey, I don't want to pay that. You just got to pay whatever it is. So if you get the hoarder, or you don't have your property tight, somebody's kid gets lead poisoning, you get a lead violation, the city comes in, the EPA comes in and they're like, yo, you need to lead abate the property. That's going to cost 50 grand. Whatever it is, whatever mistake you make out there, you got to pay the game. You don't get to say, I don't want to pay. It doesn't work like that. So mentorship is that surefire way where you can pay a fraction of the cost of any mistake that you would ever make, and then learn all of the mistakes. Like literally, there's over $500,000 to $1 million of mistakes you can make. For those who are afraid to make a mistake in real estate, there's over $500,000 to $1 million you can make. So you're not unwise to be afraid of making a mistake. You just be unwise to not tap into mentorship as a result of that. You'd be unwise to just sit on the sideline, stay stuck in a 9 to 5, and not just overcome it by tapping in. Hopefully that answers that question. Do you need professional property management when dealing with Section 8? I don't know. Like, it depends on where you're managing. If you're doing this out of town, you definitely want some type of property management company that can step in and handle things for you, because you can't get there. If you're doing this in your backyard and you have the resources and you have the contractors and you can answer the phone, you can do some degree of self-management. But you definitely have to stay on top of your properties. And the reason why is because there's something called, like, let's talk about a negative situation that could happen, because there's pros and cons. And I dropped a video on the YouTube channel. It's called "Is Section 8 Great?" And it breaks down a lot of the pros and cons of Section 8. You guys can watch that too. But one of the things that can happen is if, let's say, an inspector comes out and they say, hey, you need to paint this and knock this out, and you don't do it because you don't have property management or whatever, you're doing it yourself and you just don't do it. If they come back out, they're pretty much going to put a violation on the property. No big deal. You got 30 days to correct this. So you keep getting paid. Now, if they come back out in 30 days and it's not done, they're going to put a hold and abatement on your property. Now, if they put that hold and abatement, what it means is Section 8 is going to continue to pay you hypothetically, but into an escrow account. And that money ain't getting released until this violation is corrected. So, and it depends on what Section 8 office you're dealing with. Some will do a hold and abatement for like 6 months. They'll just keep holding the checks in escrow. Some only do like 60 days of holds. And then if you don't pay, they're kind of like, screw you. Like, if you don't fix the issue, they're just like, we're not paying you. Sorry. Like, we're just not going to pay you. You will lose even the rent that is being held. So you could lose like anything beyond 60 days for that next month. Between 60 and 90, you just lose that rent. That's no longer in a hold or abatement process. It's just forfeited rent. So you want to make sure that you have a system where you can correct the issues that are there. This is another reason why you want to work with the right tenants. You want to work with the right people that you can communicate with. You can solve their issues pretty easily. So you don't necessarily need a professional management company, but you're going to need somebody who can keep this property up to par. It's actually a good thing, because a lot of people who don't have kind of this forced process, they let their properties go. Then you look up in 5 years and it's like, you got to do another cosmetic renovation to it. You got to go drop 10 grand into it. Versus Section 8, if you stay on top of a lot of these things and you had that, that inspectors coming in, your property is going to stay in really good condition for longer, especially if you had the right tenant. I figured the government might take care of it. Good answer though. No, they're not going to take care of you. Like, the government's taking care of you by paying that rent. They're paying that rent, and that rent comes in, by the way, guys, that rent's coming in on the first of the month, like clockwork. Like, you could just wake up, boom, direct deposit right into your account. You're not chasing anybody for that government portion. So that money hits clean every month, super consistent, super reliable. So if you build up 10 of these properties and you're calculating your cash flow, running your numbers, like, that money is going to be in your account on the first of the month. So every first of the month, you're like green. You're in the green. You're completely liquid. Whereas, if you're a regular landlord, there's always going to be, some degree of leakage or some scragglers or, kind of whatever. Like, you would count on, even if your rent is due on the first, by the 15th with the regular, market tenants, you'll be pretty much in the green, because you'll have chased down the people who need chasing. With Section 8, it's just the first of the month. Boom, auto deposited right into your account. So that's how they take care of you. They're not going to come in and pay for renovations on your property, though. It's not their property. You're still an independent landlord. It's still your property. Brian, So if you need to get a tenant out, what is the process? It's the same process. It's the same eviction process. You just better have your game tight and your paperwork tight. I mean, that's what it is. You better have your game tight, have your paperwork tight. So with a regular market tenant, you can get away with a lot more because let's say a regular market tenant is not super sophisticated. They don't really know what rental licenses you need. They might not be what I would qualify as a professional tenant. Professional tenant is somebody who's been renting, somebody who's 40 to 45 and is still renting. They're a professional tenant. in my opinion. I don't say that to be like negative or anything. A professional tenant is just somebody who knows the landlord tenant law almost as good or better than your attorney because they've been through it. They've had evictions filed. They filed appeals. They've kind of gone through the process. So they're educated on it. Whereas if you haven't filed an eviction yet, you lack education of evictions. Somebody like me who's done a bazillion evictions over the course of time, I already know the whole process. I know all the paperwork that needs to be there. I know how long it takes. I know the buttons to push. I know the deadlines, the timelines, the notice. With the Section 8 and like the government housing-based tenants, you have to give notice. You can't waive notice like you can with a regular market tenant. With a regular market tenant, you could have them, hey, sign this lease. This waives your right to notice. This waives this. This waives that. You can't really get away with that with a low-income tenant because they have built-in government-based protections. So you just have to do everything by the book, which means you have to manage tighter. You have to be less lenient. So there's a lot of wrinkles to it. I'm trying to give you guys, over a decade's worth of game in this live. And this is a ton of game. And a lot of you, if this is something you want to do, you better watch this like 5 times because a lot of what I'm saying is definitely going to go right over your head. You're going to need to really spend time with this with a pen and pad. But in the 100 Keys Masterclass, the VIP mentorship program, there's so much more. And even outside of that, if I can work with you one-on-one to just show you the perfect way to set up the deal across the board, soup to nuts, like from step 1 to finding the right property, right location, right size, right amount of bedrooms, and just do everything perfectly, then you'll just know how to do this, for life. And this is truly like a give a man a fish versus, teach a man to fish type of philosophy. If I teach you how to fish like this, you're going to eat for the rest of your life. Again, God forbid you have to, but if you have to evict a Section 8 tenant, is it more difficult? I think we just covered that. So I think we just covered that to a large degree. Do you have the client's portion of the rent direct deposit as well? No, you can't. So the tenant's portion is the tenant's portion, right? So whatever their portion is kind of what they're doing. So most of the tenants do pay on time because they also are getting money on the first. Like everybody's on that first of the month. It's like if you guys like Bone Thugs and Harmony, that I might be dating myself there, but age dating myself. But Bone Thugs and Harmony, the first of the month song, go look it up. If you're even if you're younger or older, you don't know Bone Thugs and Harmony. There's a song called the first of the month. And that's really what everybody's on. It's like a hood anthem. And everybody's kind of on that in the Section 8 program because they're getting government checks, Social Security checks, disability checks, and different things that are all hitting on the first. So usually when they get their money, they'll pay the necessaries. So you will get paid by a lot of these tenants within that first 5 days. And then there's, if they don't pay within the first 5 days, there's a late fee and, so on and so forth. And then probably somebody like me with a 10-day pay or quit notice and I'll file eviction. And, you have to run a tight ship. Once you do that, everybody will get trained. Remember, your tenants are either training you or you're training your tenants. It's kind of like your relationship with your children. You're either in control of that relationship or your kids are just running you. So you have to kind of set the tone. Here's what we will accept. Here's what we will do. And then you will kind of knock it out of the park. Here's a question. How long on average does it take to set up a Section 8 property, or is it a long process? I think he said long property, but is it a long process? So it doesn't take that long. I mean, it doesn't take any longer to set up than it does a market property in terms of the renovation and kind of all of that stuff. It's the same exact process. Now, the inspection. So to get that property inspected by the Section 8 inspector, that could take various amount of times depending on where you are. Some places are a lot faster at getting that inspector out, and then some places are a lot less strict on what it takes to pass that inspection, or they're more clear on what it takes to pass. In a place like Philly, it could be unclear. So they could send out an inspector and they have a list of requirements, but it's so unclear that you're just like, whoa, like this wasn't on the list. And they're like, yeah, but that's how we do it here. You're like, all right. Then you do everything that inspector says, and then they send out a new inspector the next time. And they're like, oh, well, I have my own way of doing it. This is how I like my properties to look. And you're like, whoa, do you guys have a list? So it takes you time on your first deal, especially if you don't have like experience. It will take you a long time on your first deal to understand the process. But then once you do it, now the next time you can go 10 times faster because you know, oh, here's what they're looking for. No, they like this. Oh, it's 3 steps here. So it's got to have the railing. And because there's nothing over here, you got to do the double rail or they're going to fail it. So you start learning. And then you create your own process, pass it to the contractors, and then it's clockwork. It's a good question, though. So, the first one could take you longer than subsequent. And having mentorship, it is going to take you a lot less long. I would say with mentorship, it'd probably be like 30, 40 days for the first one. And you could get it down to maybe like 20 days. Without mentorship, it might take you 6 months. So then that's an easy way to calculate. Like if your carrying cost is $1,000 a month in a mortgage, and it's going to take you an extra 5 months, that's $5,000. So with mentors, this is how you get, and this is how a lot of you need to think. This is how you get mentorship to pay for itself. I got this question from a guy today. He said, I got to talk to my wife. I know she's going to ask, how can we get this mentorship to pay for itself? And he's working on a full gut job. And I'm like, well, where are you at? Oh, we just did demo. And I'm like, but I've done hundreds of full gut jobs, right? So, I could just change your flooring layout. And instead of, you tiling all the bathrooms and the kitchen, I could just run the flooring straight through, give you a nice modern finish. And that's going to save you about $8,000 on materials and labor, right? Like, and that doesn't even account for all the other knowledge and all the other mistakes you avoid and everything else. So if you're going to invest in real estate anyway, covering the cost of mentorship on your next or first deal is beyond easy. I could show you how to acquire properties for $10,000 to $20,000 less than you would otherwise pay for them, right? Because you don't know anything yet, right? Like it's so easy for me to cover beyond the cost. Like you could get a 3-4x return on the cost of mentorship just on the acquisition of your next deal, just on the rehab. Like you're going to save and recover the cost of mentorship without even flipping and turning a profit on a flip, because the knowledge you can apply over and over again. But you just have to understand that. Most people can't understand that, and they would rather be afraid and what they think is comfortable. They think they can hide from life by staying complacent and if I just stay here and don't do anything, I'll be safe. No, you won't, because inflation is going to keep going up. Cost of living is going to keep going up. Everything's going to go up. And you're either going to go up with it or you're going down. There is no steady in this game. Everything changes in life. So you're either going to continue to improve and build yourself and develop and grow with yourself and others, or you're going to tank. And you have to have that urgency for yourself. You're always either going up or down. There ain't no steady. That's like la la land. So you have to stay tapped in. You have to keep pushing yourself. Here's another question. Can you mentor someone who lives in Central Texas or in Virginia? Of course. I have mentees in Hawaii, Canada, Washington, California, Arizona, Texas. So I have them where you're at: Virginia, Maryland, Florida, the Carolinas, all the way up into Boston, Massachusetts, Maine, all the way out in Chicago, and like all over the place, all over the country, right? Here's how I explain this to people. Do you really think that the skill sets that I have that I can utilize to analyze a deal in Philadelphia don't apply in Texas? Do you really think that? Like, do you think my ability to pull comps and think like an appraiser in Philly does not translate to another state or another city? It all translates. Like, it all translates. Like, how to analyze deals is how to analyze deals. Do you think it doesn't apply to if I went to Mexico and looked at a property in Mexico and what other properties were selling for, what the interest rates were, what the cash flow is, what the cost of construction is, what the cost of materials are, how long it takes? Do you think this doesn't apply? This skill set, it's almost as if you ask a fisherman, hey, do you think you could fish in the Pacific Ocean the same way you fish in the Atlantic? And they're like, but with the same boat and the same equipment? Well, yeah. Like, as long as I know generally where the fish are, yeah. Like, it's the same process. So, yeah, Ace Deuce said, I'm in Houston and B's my mentor. Yeah, we're working. Houston, by the way, guys, because I've been working with my man here, like, Houston got some heat. Houston's got some deals. Houston's got some value. He just uncovered a deal. I told you too. I'm like, bro, I'm impressed with this deal. Like, the deal you just uncovered, we were looking at 2 days ago. I was like, man, this is a nice find. It's right in the cut. There's new construction everywhere. Great square footage, multifamily. I mean, the thing's a freaking slam dunk. I think, where'd you find it for? It was like $150 and the ARV is like 400K and smack in Houston. And people just aren't thinking. But because he's tapping into the mentorship program, he's really asking a lot of questions and starting to learn how I think. I can tell because I'm looking at the result of it. When you start getting the results I get, it's because you're learning how I think and you're just going through that process and you're uncovering diamonds. So, yeah, this stuff works. The plan works when you work the plan. Like that, that's the game. Ace Dude said, thanks. Definitely. Yeah, definitely be in touch, man. Reach out. But yeah, this stuff works all across the country. The reason that a lot of us aren't doing deals is because of those three things: fear of making a mistake, lack of knowledge, lack of knowledge of how to analyze deals, maybe some poor belief systems like, I don't have enough cash. Oh, the market's not good. Oh, but my wife didn't buy in. Come on, man. Like, do you need your wife to buy into everything? Does your wife have to buy into everything? How about just being like, look, I gotta make this happen for the family. Sometimes you gotta go for it because life's short. You only live once. And, you don't want to pay the school of hard knocks. You don't want to get crushed, but definitely reach out. We can show you how to get results in your market. We can show you how to get results in your market. He said, oh, just the distance. No, the distance, it's a fine concern. Look, I don't want to, I'm not trying to crush you here. I'm just trying to answer the question thoroughly. Not really for you, but for anybody else because the question that you're asking, a lot of people had that question. It's not a bad question at all because a lot of people think that, but I want to answer it thoroughly. Like, this knowledge that I'm giving you is not only knowledge that you're going to be able to use in your market. What I'm going to teach you, you can use in other markets just like I can. So what it does is it unlocks you. So now if the real estate is too expensive in Texas or Virginia, you can say, oh, but Brian, can I use this knowledge and apply it over into like a cheaper market like Pittsburgh? Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can go knock it out of the park. You can go knock it out of the park, man. And that's what this game is about. You're a fisherman now. You can go fish wherever there's water and fish. That's the requirement. Is there real estate and is there opportunity? Yes. Yes. Are there contractors? Sure. There's contractors everywhere. There's real estate everywhere. There's renters everywhere. And there's all these different markets and strategies. So yeah, you can just go out and just tap in and win. So definitely a good question. A lot of people have it. I'm glad you asked it. He said, cool Ace, my fear is not finding properties or passing them by. I don't know who knows what, fear or something. Definitely. I mean, that is the concern is, that's deal analysis, right? This is scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. Some people say, Brian, if you know all this stuff, why would you tell people? Why wouldn't you just hoard it to yourself? Because of abundance mindset. I don't need to hoard it. Let me try to shift this over so my computer doesn't die. I don't need to hoard it because there's so many deals. There's so much opportunity out here. Why would I need to hoard information from you guys? You know how many deals there are? There's so many deals that Ace just tripped over a deal, and it's a freaking $250,000 spread. It's just sitting there. I think it was on the market for like 80 days, and it's a good looking deal. So there's so much opportunity. There's a lack of knowledge out there. There is a scarcity of knowledge out there, but there's not a scarcity of opportunity. So this is, definitely about educate you guys and get you guys to that next level. But there's so much in your neck of the woods. I'm shocked. Really, I'm blessed to get to work with you guys, because you guys will point me to, because I can get tunnel vision on my market. I know every market has opportunity, but I'm focused on some of my main markets where I'm fishing, right? Because I'm fishing in my hole. I don't need to be looking at your water hole, right? I'm fishing in my area and I'm catching plenty of fish. Until my fishing area dries up, I don't need to come in your neck of the woods. But at the same time, it's like when I go and look at some of the opportunities across the country as I'm helping you guys to find deals, it's like, wow, I'm always blown away by some of the opportunities that are right under everybody's nose. And you can lock up deals. I'm in Philly, one of the hotter markets in the country. I just locked up 3 deals under contract last week. 3 in 1 week. Like verified, like ink contracts on really good deals. So if I can do that, and I'm, working with you guys, and I'm doing all of this stuff. I got 2 kids, and I'm just running and gunning this stuff, but putting the systems that I'm teaching you guys in a mentorship program together. There's no reason why you can't go out and get a deal, 1 deal for yourself every 2 months. I just did 3 in 1 week. You can go out and get a deal for yourself. And I did the last month, I put 2 or 3 under contract a month before that. So there's just a lot of opportunity, and I'm in a sworn market. I'm in a heavy market, but this process works. This process works. Here's a question. Are there properties that are too valuable or that have too high of a rental value to qualify for the Section 8 program? Is there a ceiling for the building's rental income? Not really, because it's still based on the fair market value. There is an argument that some properties would rent for so much as a market rental if they're in like an A-class pocket, that why would you want to do affordable housing there? Like if you bought a house in Center City, it's not really the play. So there are some properties where you wouldn't do this in, but even with those properties, like they're just super high-end rentals. So it's also not a conservative play to go buy a very expensive property in an A-class neighborhood and rent it out at all. To a degree, you'd probably want to short-term rent it or do something like different, maybe like a co-living play, or something that can produce an even higher profit with a high-end tenant. I would say the Section 8 play is definitely a arbitrage play in fringe markets that are in the C+ pocket. That's the best way to use it. It's like saying like and I'm not knocking on the question. I love the question, but it's like, is it sword effective in a fight? And it's like, well, what type of fight? Not a gunfight, but it's effective if somebody's just got their knuckles, like they got their mitts, and you run it with a sword, like it's effective. So you just want to utilize Section 8 in the right area. Just use it in the right area, and you'll win. You'll make a lot of money. What else? How much is the membership? If you want to tap into the membership, just text me, email me, DM me, and just reach out, and we'll talk about what's included. I always like to set the table. I always say before you eat, if you go to like a pizza place, and this ain't a pizza place, but you go to a pizza place, they just slap the food on the table. If the wings are ready, if the appetizers are ready at the same time as the meal, they just bring it all out, right? There's just no process to it. You go to a nice restaurant, they set the table. Before they bring out dinner, they clear the table, they reset the table. When I offer people, one thing you have to understand is when I work with my people, I work with everyone one-on-one. It's not just like something I say, like there's one-on-one Zoom calls, there's one-on-one text and email support. It's a relationship that we're building. So when I do that, I like to set the table of, hey, here's what's included. Here's how I work with people. I want to make sure you're a good fit. And then we'll offer like the price point, for the mentorship. So it's all about setting the table and the right, the right process versus just slapping the food out. It's just not my style. There are places that will just slap the food out, but when they slap the food out, it shows a lack of care about the product to a degree. It shows a lack of care. Brian, what is the best approach to finding contractors, investor meetings? Um, Facebook can be a good resource. I mean, the best approach is to get real estate mentorship from get those resources from your mentor. Is somebody who's actually done the deals and who's doing them and who's dealt with these contractors. So you want to deal with somebody who's done it, who has some integrity, and get a referral from them for the contractors. But most people with good contractors don't want to give them up, like because they're using them, especially if they're keeping them busy. So going on certain Facebook groups, they will have contractor groups on Facebook and different investor groups on Facebook. Join those for your local market and ask around. And that will help you. You had a mentorship. Miguel said he offers a mentorship to rocket you up, gives you all you want and need to succeed in real estate. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Hearing Airbnb is collapsing 50%. Yeah, it's called Airbnb bust. I dropped a video like how long ago? Almost 6 months ago, called Airbnb bust on YouTube. Go check it out. And it broke down all of this stuff. Like this Airbnb has kind of been lying to a lot of people, saying, oh, it's fine, the markets are good. The markets are bad. The markets have been pretty bad for a long time. So he said, especially in Phoenix and Austin. Yeah, they just dropped, I believe it was in Austin or some part of Texas, where they just pretty much banned Airbnb in single family residential areas. That you can't do it anymore. And that is going to keep happening area to area, major city to major city, until it's pretty much dead. Yeah, that's why you need to learn different strategies in real estate. Absolutely. You need to learn different strategies out here. There's multiple strategies for investing in real estate. Most of these talking heads, with what they would call a guru. I'm not a guru. I'm a mentor. Somebody might try to label me a guru. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But I'm a mentor. But most of these people will try to teach you one strategy. Hey, Airbnb, do Airbnb. It's the best thing. If you got a spare bedroom, do this. Or all you can do is creative financing. It's the only way. No cash, no credit. It's the only way. Everything else sucks. Or there's the tax lien guy, and I just invest in the paper. Or there's the land guy. I just buy the dirt. There's no management, no tenants. No, you're going to hear everything. You need multiple strategies to win, because no matter what market you're in, if you don't have multiple strategies, you're eventually going to dry up. One of those markets is going to dry up. You have to be able to pack up your operation and move on to the next opportunity, the next strategy. So going into a market, like if you're me, I go into a market, I have like 6 core strategies, and then I have off the beaten path strategies. So I can look at this market and say, this market's got a whole lot of buy and hold deals. So I'm just a buy and hold guy, put on my buy and hold hat, and I'm ready to go. Or I go in that market and say, hey, you could kill it just flipping here. You could just flip all day. I wouldn't hold anything, but I'll flip it, and you just flip it. Or you could wholesale it, or you could do creative financing deals because they have a lot. Or you could do low income housing, or you could do co-living, or there's all these different strategies. And that's why I focus the mentorship program on teaching you the totality of the strategies that are out there, so that you can go in and kind of pivot your way through the market. And as the market ebbs and flows, you can reposition yourself with it. So there's just a lot, there's a lot to this game. You just don't want to get trapped in a guru course where they're teaching you one thing, especially if you're in an Airbnb course right now. You're kind of getting crushed, in my opinion. So then you're learning this strategy that is about to go bust. And once it does, you're just kind of screwed. Randolph said, appreciate the info. Thanks for answering my questions. I'll definitely be considering the Section 8 route on some properties. Yeah, definitely consider Section 8. Trust me, there's a lot we have not covered today on Section 8 that can help you to get to the next level. So definitely go Section 8. Definitely tap into as much knowledge as you can. Make sure you're picking the right market, getting with the right lenders. Speaking of that, a question I get is this is funny. Dame said, what's the most you pocketed off a GC fee? And I'll answer that. What do lenders think of Section 8 or affordable housing? Lenders like it. Lenders are more conservative by nature, so they kind of understand that affordable housing Section 8 game. They like the fact that oh, they got Section 8. That means the government's paying the rent. They know what that means. They know that that's going to ensure that they get paid rain, sleet, hail, or snow. And that's the type of person they want to build long-term relationships with. So this can definitely be a big value add for you. Guys, if you're getting value out of this, like, comment, subscribe, push us over 10,000 subs. There's no reason why we can't get there tonight, but we'll be there, if not tonight, tomorrow anyway. But push this channel over 10,000 subs. Like, comment, subscribe, share this with somebody else who you think will get value. And let's keep flowing through this and stick around to the end. I'm about to take us through these developer grants so you guys can see the free money, because I know people are like, Brian says there's free money to buy houses, and some of you don't believe it. You think it's just kind of marketing, but it's not. It's true. Let's answer this question, and then we'll get into some of these grants. Let me pop this open. I want to take you guys through kind of how this stuff works in general, and how you can use it to make money. What's the most you pocketed off of a GC fee? Well, I mean, it's such a how do I answer this question for you? Let's say you went to do a deal and you guys are getting good at gut renovations and burst strategy. Burst strategy is where if you found a deal that you could buy for $20,000, put $30,000 into it in renovations, and then refinance out, and the after repair value is $100K. So we're using easy round numbers, $100K. You can typically refinance out at 75% of the ARV, after repair value. So that would be $75,000. A lender will typically, like a construction lender or hard money lender, will give you 65% of the ARV to buy and renovate a property. That's $65,000 max, right? So you bought it for 20 and you put 30 into it. So you're all in at 50. But the lender can lend up to 65% of the ARV. They can lend up to $65,000. So hypothetically, if you're thinking outside of the box and you're looking at your liquidity, it might cost you 10 grand to get into the deal, to deal with the lending fees. Instead of that rehab budget being 30,000, it's now 45,000. So now you're buying it for 20, you're putting in 45, so you're at that 65% of the ARV. And even if that construction cost you 30,000, you could have built in a fee as a developer's fee of whatever that padding is, that extra $15,000 of padding. And that can be easily padded into line items, demolition, framing, flooring, whatever it is. And that could go straight into your pocket, because the lender is basically going to check to make sure the work is done and then release the draws, release the money from escrow to reimburse the spend. So as long as that is there and approved, that money will come back out to you through the renovation process. This is called getting paid to build, properties. This is part of it. It's kind of step one. So you have to imagine, like I did, some of you know this. I did like 150 plus deals in 2019 alone, like in 1 year. So some of you, like, I can't find deal people. It's like, well, if I could find 100, I found probably 200 deals that year, and 150 of them made it through title and actually closed. But let's say you were doing this on 10 deals a month, like I was in 2019, and there was some padding, hypothetically, on all of these deals, on 10 of these deals a month, $15,000 of padding. That's $150,000 of padding a month of liquidity that's coming out of these deals to you, that could allow you to scale up your operation month over month over month over month. That doesn't even count like a refinance or any type of cash out refi. So I think that answers that question. So it's not, and the question was, what's the most that I've personally pocketed? That's unimportant, right? Who cares what I've personally pocketed? Not saying it's a bad question, but who cares what I've done, right? It's really more about what you guys can do, or how does that structure happen? How much could you do? Does it make sense to do it? Is it above board to do it? Would a lender approve it? Does a lender care? These are all kind of advanced mentorship questions. And this is the value of mentorship. So what if I was able to show you how to structure this with a lender and get it approved, and it's all above board, and there's just a markup. You are serving as the GC and the developer. There's an additional cost or fluff built in. It's within the lender's parameters. It's all asset backed. It's not exceeding their guidelines. Like, if I could show you how to do that and produce extra liquidity through your build, and even that liquidity could cover, any pitfalls, any mistakes, how do I put a price on that? Because you could do that 100 times in a year. How do I put a price on that? How does that compare to a cost of like an entry fee for mentorship? There's really no comparison. There's really no comparison. So it's truly like somebody who's choosing mentorship. Unfortunately, knowledge is formatted in such a way that you could lack knowledge so badly that you just can't even value mentorship, because you truly do not know what you don't know. So you can't even put an appropriate price on mentorship because you just don't know enough. So you're like, mentorship's not worth it. And it's like, well, somebody else tapped in and learned how to add that type of liquidity to 100 deals in a year, and you didn't. Now, fast forward out 5 years with them running circles around you in real estate, and where you're going to be at, stuck in a 9-to-5, saying, I made the right choice. I didn't get into that mentorship program. My wife talked me out of it. And you guys got more excuses than I care to battle. Some of you are truly ready to go and rocking and rolling. Some people are like, so many excuses. I'm just like, just sit freaking 9-to-5 then. Like, if you're stuck on that, just stay, man. Like, I'm not going to fight you. I'm here for you when you're ready, but I ain't going to fight you. And I can't beat the amount of excuses you can come up with in a vacuum. Like, you can always come up with more excuses than I could give you reasons to do anything. But where do your excuses get you versus where my knowledge will get you? Your excuses are going to lead to more excuses. My knowledge is going to lead to more money, more wealth, more equity, more value for your family. Your wife would thank me. Half of you who said the wife talked me out of it, your wife would, and I'm just using the wife hypothetically, your wife would thank me when she saw the value it added to your children and your legacy. She'd walk me to the car and open the door for me. Like, if she understood it. You can't bring your wife into a sale that she's not a part of. Like, if we're talking about mentorship, you've been tapped into the program. You've been tapped into the mastermind calls. You got on a call with me one-on-one. You can't just go to your wife after that and say, I talked to some guy and, should I sign up for a mentorship program? She doesn't know anything about it. She's not a part of the process. Rope her in, bring her in as a part of the process. And I always tell the husband and wife groups that tap into the mentorship program and are both kind of a part of it, they do better than anybody I've ever seen. They always do the best and get the best results. Because the wife's bought in, the husband's bought in, they're working together as a partnership. They always get the goal. I haven't had one husband and wife group who were bought in as a team not get what they wanted. Not one. But don't bring something to your wife. Your wife's freaking trying to watch, whatever TV show she's watching. She's trying to watch The Bachelor. You're in her ear at 9:30 p.m. talking about real estate. She doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't want to hear it. Like, she doesn't want it. She's like, yo, I'm trying to watch The Bachelor, dude. What are you talking? No, don't sign up for that. I don't believe in your mission. I don't believe you have what it takes. I've seen you play the video games. I've seen you procrastinate. I don't believe in you. But then the question is, is that going to shut you down? Are you the type of person that needs that? Is that what's holding you back? Do you need your wife to, I super believe in this and do all of this for you to go after your dream for an inconsequential amount of money? Are you going to stay in a 9-to-5 for that? I don't know. I mean, these are good questions. I'm asking the questions now. You guys have to answer them. Randolph said, you're quite the salesman, my guy, spitting a lot of value, I must admit. I mean, look, this is real though, because I'm talking to you guys. So I'm not just like this. I'm not reading off some script here. I'm on the phone with you guys. I hear the excuses. I see it. It's painful to me because you don't hurt me by not signing up for mentorship. You hurt you, especially the ones of you, like I tell you, like, you're a good fit. You can do this. I believe in your mission. You have the vision. But I know for a fact, if you run out in School of Hard Knocks, you're going to get beat over the head. You guys don't know what's out there. I know it's out there. I've been to the war and I live to tell about it. Like, you haven't been to the war, so you don't know. You're not a vet in this game. So there's a lot to it. And I wish I had what I'm offering. I built my whole mentorship program to be for me, right? What I would have needed to get to where I got faster. And I got pretty far, right? So I built it to get me there faster. And now you are that version of me just getting started. So this can get you there much faster, much more effectively without the mistakes. Why would I build a program that wouldn't even work for me, that wouldn't get me there faster? That would be silly, wouldn't it? That would almost be more challenging, wouldn't it? To like go out of your way to not teach about all the mistakes that you've made. Like, how do you even do that? That's like a brain teaser for me. Like, let me think of a program that would not help me and then try to craft that. And like, you just can't even do it. So this program, it will get you guys to the next level. And kind of get you where you want to go. Ace Deuce said, I signed up with Brian's mentorship program about a month and a half ago. I'm about to close my second deal. Come on, guys. Ridiculous. And my promise is to you guys is that I will get you into your first deal or your next deal within 90 days or less. That's my promise. Like, I'm going to grind. But, you know, some people are getting it faster. The people who are like the students that sit in the front of the class, raise their hand and ask the questions, they get there faster. Outbound Property Solutions said, my spouse just exited our couple, and so I'm on my own partner, but definitely shaking in my boots, which is normal. Yeah, being nervous is normal. I was this is a side story. I was walking my son to school this morning, and he's got, you know, sometimes he gets nervous just going to school. He's a little guy, 3-4 years old. And he's shy, like I was. I was really shy, believe it or not, as a little guy. And he's just like nervous. And I'm like talking to him. And he's like, I'm feeling a little nervous. I felt his little chest, his little heart's beating. And I'm like, bro, it's cool. It's okay to be nervous. I was nervous, you know, at school, your age. My brother, his uncle, your uncle was nervous. It's okay. And he calmed down and he had a great day. Because he knew it was normal. It's perfectly normal to be nervous about real estate. It's perfectly normal also to be nervous about joining a mentorship program. That's perfectly normal to feel hesitation, fear. What's going to happen after I join? Is this guy going to disappear? All these different concerns are normal, but they're unfounded here because nobody will really work with you guys one-on-one like I do. And I stand by it. And then you have people who come in, who are telling you that it's happening for them. Like, they're seeing it. You're getting value on these lives every week. So you're kind of getting it, guys. Like, it is what it is. But yeah, if it's just you, you're your best support system. When you give, here's the thing, I'll maybe leave you guys with, I guess we got to get into this. We got to get into this government money. When you give yourself confidence, only you can take it away. When you believe in yourself, only you can take away that self-belief. So the person that you really need to buy into your mission is you. Stop asking everybody about real estate. Stop talking to everybody about real estate who ain't even doing it. What do you even care what they think? They don't know anything. They haven't done 100 deals. They don't know anything. So why are you asking them what they think about real estate? You know what they think? They're afraid, and they're going to tell you something to be afraid of, so that you can be afraid together. Because what other value could they offer you other than a bunch of fear? Like, they don't know anything. They know fear. They know fear has kept them trapped and paralyzed. So they'll give you some of that. And if you take it, you'll just be afraid. That's it. So, hey, I inherited a house with a $50K mortgage attached to it through my grandmother. Her interest rate is super low. How should I approach this situation? I would need to know a ton more, like, what's the ARV? What's the condition? What are the terms of the mortgage? Maybe, you know, you could do some type of lease purchase option. You could do a subject to. You might wholesale it. There's a lot of different options. There's a lot of options there. Shallon's happening from, I believe, Ontario. If you're on the fence, please join. I just signed up for the ride along and the 100 keys course all the way from Canada, and the information is invaluable. And Shallon's an investor. Her and her husband, they're investors. I mean, they're knocking it out of the park. But yeah, they're tapping in all the way from Canada to get the value. And they're coming to the ride along. Guys, if you're not in the ride along, tap into the ride along. Oh, from Toronto. Pardon me. If you're not in the ride along, we're doing a ride along on July 29th. Right in Philly. Got the party bus reserved. Grabbing a cheesesteak from a surprise location so you can get a good taste of Philly. Going to see some full gut renovations. Going to see some properties that are currently on the market. Inspect some deals. We're going to go in the hood a little bit. We'll see the hood. Walk around a little bit. Get a feel for the C class. We're going to see the A class. We're going to see the up and coming pockets. We're going to get a full taste of this market. And not only are you going to learn Philly, but what you're going to learn is how to navigate a city you've never been in before and get a taste of the real estate. You're going to learn how to get dropped out of a parachute into a city you've never been in, somewhere in the world, and how to discover the hot pockets and what they look like and what they feel like. That's really what you're learning, and how to think. And you're going to be able to ask me anything about real estate, anything about the game. We're going to see contractors in action. I mean, it's action packed. This is something I never got to do when I was getting started in this. And this would have made what I call the Donnie difference for me when I was getting started, because getting into the full gut renovation game was the best thing in my life, quite frankly, best thing in my life. Let's get into this. Let's get into this money, because a lot of people don't believe in this stuff. So this is a affordable home ownership opportunity program that was funded through, I can't even say this guy's name, but through this governor's housing plan in New York State, right? So this is in New York State. This is active right now. This is funded right now. Let's see what type of eligible projects there are and eligible applicants. So this is for people who are a little bit more experienced, right? They're looking for a strong record of developing single or multifamily home ownership, success in providing home ownership counseling, technical assistance. You could partner with some type of there are nonprofits who do this, who they go and they meet with people who are low or moderate income, and they coach them on how to get qualified to purchase their own property with these different down payment assistance programs and vouchers that are out there. So you just partner with one of them and bring that experience in using the proposed construction methods. And some of these are like eco-friendly building types. They're doing infill standalone homes in existing neighborhoods, attached and detached style developments. So that would be like row homes, multifamily structures, including new construction, adaptive reuse or conversions of multifamily rentals. Any single family homes may include an accessory dwelling unit. That's where you build a second house in the backyard. So there's some of that stuff, which I'm highly interested in, accessory dwelling units right now. So you kind of have all these things, right? Home ownership types, condo, co-ops, fee simple, other models. So they want you to build these in kind of heavy impact neighborhoods that need development. There's energy efficiency and kind of all this stuff. But let's look at some of the subsidy amounts, because this will kind of knock your socks off. Let me blow this up a little bit. So amounts will be based on the scope and need for each project. Per home subsidies will increase with deeper affordability. So the target affordability, $150,000 maximum subsidy, and then $200,000 maximum subsidy. So they're giving out, this is $150 million program. They're giving out pretty much per unit. Let me see if I can find that in here. Per unit you build, they will give you these numbers essentially: $150,000 to $200,000 per unit to build a project. So that means if you found like a triplex that need a full gut renovation, they would give you $450,000 of grant money to redevelop that project. Grant money. Like, it's just government money. All you would need is the knowledge of how to develop, a little bit of experience, maybe you've done a couple deals, the desire to do this, get connected to the right resources, or be tapped into the right types of mentorship programs or mentors or the right people. And you can get your hands on some of this type of money. You can also charge developer fees to build through this stuff. But there's grant money out there a lot of us have no idea about. We're like, wait, so I can go and create affordable housing for middle income people or lower income people, and the government will give me completely forgivable grants of hundreds of thousands of dollars per unit to build this stuff. What's the catch? The catch is you have to be knowledgeable. You have to know it exists, and you have to tap in, and you have to get experience. This is another reason why you guys need to get off the sidelines, because you don't know how bad you're hurting yourself. Because when these types of opportunities, these things get funded, they're here for 5 years, then they're gone. Then you got to wait for some other governor to get in, somebody else to get in office, and a new program to be created and funded again. But while it's here, you'd wish you had some experience. You've been in the game, even if you sucked at real estate on your first deal or two. I lost money my first deal, my second deal. Now you have some experience, though. You come in here, get in one of these programs where you're getting grant money, and now you're just rolling. Hey, I just did 10 ground up deals, got the grant money to finance it, got tapped in, low interest rate, everything. Everything's to your advantage. So there's a lot of free money. This is just in New York. There's stuff like this in multiple states all over the country. Lots of free government vouchers, lots of funding for developers, for people who know how to build houses. This is why you need to learn this skill set. This is an undervalued skill set. Just like there's a lack of plumbers out there, there's a lack of electricians because people won't go to trade school. There's a lack of developers out there. Getting into that scarcity mindset, there's a scarcity of developers. There's not a scarcity of real estate. There's not a scarcity of deals that need development. There's a scarcity of developers. There's a scarcity of people with this skill set. So it would behoove you to learn this skill set and to be able to advance yourself. Because once you can do that, you now have a multi-million-dollar skill set. How do I know it's a multi-million-dollar skill set? Because they'll give you $150,000 per unit subsidies. On a triplex, that's $450,000 on one triplex. So how would that not? So to be able to manage that much money through a rehab, this is a multi-million-dollar skill set. That's what this thing's about, guys. Where can we find out more information about the ride along? Just reach out, guys. Also, tap into my YouTube channel. One of my most recent videos is on the ride along. Tap into my Instagram. You know, I'm going to keep pushing the ride along pretty much until the ride along happens. But the tickets are scarce. We're only bringing 10 people with us. We're almost at capacity. I think there's like a few more tickets left. A few people said they're signing up today. So definitely tap in while you can. Don't miss out on that ride along. And don't ask me, oh, you doing one in a month? No, I ain't doing one in September. I ain't doing one in October. I'm doing one July 29th. So clear your schedule, make the time, tap in, because you don't want to miss out on this stuff. I can't carve out that much time to do these because things are getting busier. I'm building a lot of houses for, people in the Boots on the Ground program. We're getting busier, not less busy. So I make an extra effort to carve out the time to do this stuff. But if you can get with me, boots on the ground, this is going to accelerate you a decade easily. I love your city. I grew up in 1970 DC and have been up to Philly many times. Yeah, there's like a connection there. DC, Baltimore, Philly, especially in that time period. There's a lot of history there. A lot of history there. DC is a good city. That was a rough city, but a good city. So guys, hopefully this helped. I told you I would show you the money at the end. There's definitely a lot of money out here, and we'll get kind of deeper into this stuff on a future session. If you guys want to tap into the mentorship program, reach out. However you got here is from a text, from an email, from an alert. Text me, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, Baltimore has a bit of my heart too. I have a bunch of deals in Baltimore. Like, comment, subscribe. Leave the comment that says I subscribe so I can send you instant access to that free real estate training. It'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on a dollar. Share this with someone who can get value. Somebody's got to get value out of the affordable housing play. Share this with your people. Share this with somebody who you want to win. Don't be stingy with the knowledge. Don't hoard it. Get this in your people's hands so that they can accelerate. Have them subscribe so that they can tap in and continue to learn. And don't be afraid of betting on yourself. Don't ask other people what they believe about your mission or if they believe in your mission
forget them. A lot of people will say no just because they don't want you to win without them. Even the person closest to you could hurt you, unfortunately. So even, the person close, that's all I can tell you. Person closest to you might not believe that you have what it takes because they never seen you do it. But if you believe it, give yourself a shot. Life's so short that tapping into mentorship, and even if you tapped into mentorship and you're like, man, I think real estate's not for me. At least now at that point. But you got to bet on yourself. Life's so short. You have to take bets on yourself, and betting on your own education will never steer you in the wrong direction. It will never lead you wrong. Getting more knowledgeable about real estate, like, how could that lead you wrong when real estate's made more millionaires than anything, and everybody's got to live somewhere? It will never steer you wrong. It's like learning about credit. Oh, that sucked. I learned about credit. I'll never use it. Like, yes, you will. And you're going to use this knowledge of real estate. If you don't use it now, you'll use it tomorrow. You will need it. And you will be able to make your money back off of the cost of mentorship. Now, the cost of hard knocks, losing 50, 100K, maybe you don't get that back. I don't know. That's a tough one. And because you don't learn enough from it. You just learn that one mistake. And that one mistake costs you 50 grand. You're not going to get 50 grand worth of value. You're just going to get burned for 50 and then wish you got into a mentorship program for the fraction. So that's all I can give you guys for today. Hope it helped. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, tapping out. I'll see you guys on the next one. And tap into that ride along. Don't miss the ride along. DM me, email me, text me, and